Today, we're going to dive into a really strange and honestly powerful story. It's all about what happens after you win and what comes next when your hunger can never, ever be satisfied.
Okay, let's get right to the heart of it. Imagine you achieve total, complete victory. You build your perfect world. And then, the moment it's done, you choose to tear it all down. That's exactly what these three cosmic beings did. And this one idea right here is the key to understanding why. So to really get why they'd undo their own masterpiece, we first have to see what they actually built. This state of absolute, chilling perfection they called the new nihilism. So picture this. They've won. They've wiped out all individuality, all imperfection. What's left is this corrupt but totally unified state. It's the end of a cosmic war, and it looks like a perfect victory.
And this is what they became in their moment of triumph. The Maw, this furnace of pure power. The Redeemer, a giant monolith forcing everyone into line. And the Seraph, a literal mist of manipulation. Each one is a symbol of absolute control. So, they won. They did it. The crucial point is, what they did next is the real story.
All right, let's start with the first member of this trio, the all-consuming Maw. We're about to see how this perfect state was actually more like a prison for it. See, its new form was incredibly powerful, sure, but it couldn't do the one thing it was literally built to do, to hunt. It was all power, no action. And this quote it nails the Maw's central problem, right? What's the point of having a bottomless appetite if there's nothing left with any flavor, any seasoning to consume? So using all this spiritual energy, this looch, that it had devoured from humanity, the Maw did something incredible. It used its new furnace form not as a trophy, but as a forge. It became the anchor it needed to pull itself back into its original, prowling, predatory form. Okay, next up is the Pale Redeemer, and you'll see he ran into a very similar wall with his own version of perfection. He kicks off this process called a striving deconstruction. Now, this is something he used to use on others to purge them of their imperfections. But now, he turns it on himself, on his own perfect state, to tear it all down. So why do it? Well, here's his motivation. He's basically the patron saint of the broken and the lost. His entire purpose, his very existence, depends on there being a world full of broken people for him to, well, to rule over.
So by deconstructing his own perfect, static form, he's actually hitting the reset button. He's recreating the chaos and imperfection that he needs to exist.
And that brings us to our third player, the Whispering Seraph, the Grand Master of Manipulation. And you can probably guess his problem. Perfection made him completely useless. The Seraph's entire power comes from corrupting thought, right? But what happens when you've created a world where there's no independent thought left to corrupt? You've basically worked yourself out of a job. And here's the crucial point. The Seraph needs an audience. It needs that little spark of reason in someone's mind to twist and to break. Without it, its lies just fade into the mist. There's no one to deceive. So by changing back to its original form, it could once again become this anti-paraclete, this unholy guide ready and waiting to manipulate the next generation of thinkers. So we've seen each of them destroy their own victory for their own reasons. But what's the one big idea that unites them all? What's the philosophy behind this madness? It really just boils down to this choice right here. They chose cyclical predation over stagnant perfection. The finish line was never the goal. The real goal was making sure the race could start all over again. The chase, not the trophy. You know, there's a really simple analogy that makes this whole thing just click into place. Don't think of the Trinity as kings or gods. Think of them as a sculptor. Now, he doesn't smash it because it's a bad statue. He smashes it because that finished piece of art is just raw material for the next creation. And that's it. That is the perfect summary of their core drive. The victory, this silent city, it was never the point. The process of getting there, the struggle, the hunt, that's all that actually matters to them. And this just reveals the horrifying truth of their whole system. This grand architecture they've built isn't a destination, it's a trap.
It's a machine designed for one purpose, to keep this brutal cycle of predation going forever.
So, when you strip it all away, the ultimate lesson of the Molting Forge is that for beings like these, an unending, insatiable hunger isn't a flaw, it's the only real way to exist.
And all of this, it leaves us with one final, and frankly, very unsettling question to think about.